Welcome to our International Women's Day 2022, where we celebrate women's achievements, raise awareness, and take action. The theme this year is Break the Bias. Imagine a gender-equal world, a world free of bias, stereotypes, and discrimination, a world that's diverse, equitable, and inclusive, a world where difference is valued and celebrated. Together, we can forge women's equality. Collectively, we can all break the bias. We will begin with our land acknowledgement by our Master of Ceremony, Sabrina.
We acknowledge that Hamilton, as we know it, is situated on the territories of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples. This land is covered by Treaty 3 between the Great Lakes that were purchased of 1792. Hamilton is also land covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe people to peacefully share the resources. This treaty uses the symbolism of a dish to represent the territory and one spoon to represent that people are to share the resources of the land and only take what they need, leaving more for others. This recognition requires action. This recognition requires resistance and disruption of the ongoing violence that is inflicted on Indigenous people. Today is International Women's Day. It's a time to celebrate how far we've come, the decades of trailblazers, freedom fighters, Black and Indigenous women who have fought against systems of violence, against patriarchy and misogyny. It's also a time to envision a world free of violence. It's also a time to deeply reflect on the impacts of colonization and the lives that continue to be taken because of this violence. Participating in International Women's Day on stolen land means bearing witness to the violence that Indigenous women continue to experience on these lands. That Indigenous women continue to be killed, murdered, and go missing, that this disproportionate impact of violence is a result of colonization, of decades of dispossession and land theft, and policy decisions that subjugate Indigenous women to violence. This understanding and our commitment to solidarity and resistance must center our celebrations, our work, and International Women's Day as a whole. We have an incredible lineup of speakers and performers today who are graciously sharing their work, their talents, and their skills with us. I'm excited to witness another International Women's Day with you, and I'm hoping we can celebrate together in person next year when it's safer to do so. I hope you enjoyed what we've planned for today, and I hope that this International Women's Day, you're creating space and time for joy, and that you are surrounded by so much love and care. Wilhelmina McGrimmond is from Frog Clan, Plaston Nation from Tatch, BC. Wilhelmina is a spiritual healer, a warrior for missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls of the Native community, an environmental activist that cares for Mother Earth, and a teacher of many things. Wilhelmina will be leading the opening ceremony for this year's International Women's Day.
Hello. Welcome to the International Women's Day virtual event. I am Wilhelmina McGrimmond. I am a First Nations elder from the city of Hamilton, and I am here to do the opening. Thank you. I'd like to thank the Creator, Grandmother Bear, Grandfather, Grandmother, Mother Earth, Father Sky, Grandmother Moon. We are here to thank you for giving us our food, our daily food every day, and our clean water. And please, we really thank you for giving us a safe day around here. And we'd like to thank you for giving us another way of women coming together in this world to be able to try to make peace, have peace. So we thank you for giving us all the voices that we need and need more. And we thank you for keeping us all in good health from the COVID. And most of all, I thank you for being able to be here to listen to me thanking you for being part of this event where we all have to be messy. And I'll sing the welcoming song. Thank you. Away, hi-yo, away, hi-yo, away. Away, hi, away, hi-yo. Away, hi-yo, away, hi-yo, away. Away, hi, away, hi-yo. Away, hi-yo, away, hi-yo. Way, hi-yo, way, hi-yo, way. Away, hi, way, hi-yo. Away, hi-yo, way, hi-yo. Way, hi-yo, way, hi-yo, way. Away, hi, way, hi-yo. Away, hi-yo, away, hi-yo, away. Away, way, hi-yo. Masicho, and you have a good day. Thank you.
Sarah Gemma is the Executive Director at the Disability Justice Network of Ontario. She's a community organizer from Hamilton, Ontario, with cerebral palsy who does work around combating anti-Black racism, policing, and housing insecurity. Through the Disability Justice Network of Ontario, she works to tackle systemic ableism by building up capacity in disabled organizers to challenge structures locally, provincially, and nationally. In her past role as Senior Program Coordinator at the Hamilton Center for Civic Inclusion, she ran a civic leadership program which sought to help Black and racialized youth to understand their place in working inside and outside of institutions to effect structural change.
My name is Sarah Gemma, and I'm the Executive Director of the Disability Justice Network of Ontario. And for this International Women's Day, I was asked to talk about activism and how I got involved in activism and why activism is important in this day and age. So I first got involved in activism when I was in grade 12. That was when I first started to understand structural ableism. I met a kid named George who was in grade 9, and he had told me he wanted to go to the Etobicoke School of the Arts, but he didn't apply because it wasn't accessible. And for me, this was the first time I really understood structural ableism. I was so shocked at the idea that a publicly funded school that was specializing in art was preventing this kid from being able to achieve his dream as an actor. I remember getting on a bus to go to downtown Toronto for the first time on my own to talk to a group or a committee called the Special Education Advisory Committee about my concerns with this elevator. The chair of the board, Chris Belton, and I still remember his facial expression to this day, he said, "Who do you think you are to come into this meeting room, to not be on the agenda, to not have any speaking rights or voting rights, to try to talk to us about this issue? You don't represent all students." And for me, this incident was the first real understanding of the personification of power that I had with this room of people around a U-shaped table, mostly who didn't look like me or sound like me, telling me that the experiences of me and my friends were illegitimate. And from that moment on, I promised that if I ever was in a similar situation, I would try and do something about it. So fast forward to graduation. I was able to get to university despite teachers telling me that I wouldn't, insofar as make it to past grade 12. I was able to go to McMaster and decided to run for student council. My mom helped me put up my first posters, and I was able to get elected onto student council by the skin of my teeth. And around this table, too, I quickly learned that even when you have a seat at the table sometimes, the people there with you often represent the institution. They often represent people who come from communities like they do. And it was often rich, white, male students that got the opportunities around student governance and who could make decisions that impacted thousands of other people who had no experience similar to them. And so at that point, I realized that having a seat at the table wasn't really enough to make the change that I wanted to see or that students on campus wanted to see made. Because while people on student council were debating things like a year-end party, other students were trying to engage in conversations around carding, around policing on our campus, and around what equity actually looks like for Black and racialized students who don't feel safe in our communities. And so I joined the McMaster Womanists, and we quickly started to talk about ways to make safe space for Black women in our communities. And there was a week in the summer where Philantro Castile and many other individuals were shot and killed in the States during traffic stops. My friends and I had never heard of that many people being killed by police in a week. So we got together to try to plan a vigil in Victoria Park with music and poetry and just a way to create a safe space for everybody to express how they were feeling. And I learned years later that the Hamilton police spent $30,000 surveilling this vigil. And this was my first time really understanding the lengths that, police and community at different points in time will go to vilify the work of Black young people in our communities. They had people stationed across the street in the KFC and all across the Dundrum Plaza because they were worried that this vigil with people reading poetry, high school students playing the guitar, was going to be a public threat. And it was my first understanding that often when you're organizing, it can be vilified regardless of the outcome, right? And so I started to learn more about activism and organizing and its histories. And I also realized that as a disabled person in these spaces, the risk that came with doing frontline work. There was an instance as well when my wheelchair had broken and I planned a rally in solidarity with Abdirahman Abdi, who was killed by police in Ottawa years back. He was a Somali man with autism. And my walker was my only mode of transportation that day because my wheelchair had broken. And I remember trying to march in the streets and falling behind everyone else physically, just because I couldn't keep up, and how unsafe that was, and how I was really afraid of being picked up or, harassed by police. And so for me, it was that instance where I really began to question what my role is in organizing and what that looks like for disabled people. There weren't really spaces for disabled people to be doing on the ground organizing. And so I kind of pulled back from that organizing for a bit and really worked with my friends to create the Disability Justice Network of Ontario, a space where young people have the ability or are given the ability to build out theories of change and really challenge systems and learn to challenge systems that don't fit them. Oftentimes when you're disabled and you go through life as a disabled person, you're taught to go and ask for help from certain institutions, whether it's student accessibility services or whatever the equivalent is in our high schools. You're taught to go and find the services that you need and ask for help, but you're never taught to say, okay, here's what I should do if the services in place don't work. You're never taught to think about what services you need to have built from the ground up. And so that's the point of the Disability Justice Network of Ontario, to teach young people how to actually challenge systems that currently exist in order to make spaces for them. So an example of this would have been the successful campaign that we ran around snow removal in Hamilton, where members of our youth council actually put posters together asking Hamiltonians to submit images of them getting stuck in the snow. Many people on our youth council use assistive devices and were often getting stuck in the snow in public. And after 2 years of advocating for snow clearance in our communities, Council finally passed a pilot project that will be implemented in the spring of this year to clear snow on heavily used traffic routes in our communities downtown. And while this isn't complete snow removal, it definitely is a step in the right direction. And they were able to push for that, even though it hadn't really been done in the municipality before this. And even though council was adamantly opposed to this, each time it came up years prior to council, we were able to get 5 hours worth of delegations in front of city council, where people were asking for snow removal to be implemented. Other campaigns that our youth council have run are around the assistive devices program. So we worked with MPP Joel Harden, who's the accessibility critic, to host an accessibility town hall and also to submit a petition calling for the assistive devices program to be reformed. And so often in Ontario and across Canada, really, repairs aren't publicly funded to people's medical devices, whether it's like a power chair or a walker or a hearing aid or an oxygen tank. These are things that folks often have to pay out of pocket, especially if you're not on social assistance. And so one piece of equipment can cost upwards of $10,000, and it can be really, really difficult to maintain that piece of equipment and also get it replaced when you need to. The wait times for the ADP program are also like 2 years long, ridiculous wait times. And disabled people are often left in the dark with when they will be able to get their equipment after they apply. And so we were able to work with Joel Harden to put forward a petition asking for reforms to be made. And this year, the government committed to moving the ADP application process completely online. So these are just some examples of the ways in which disabled people have been able to push for the change that they want to see made. Another example would be our fight against medical assistance in dying. We were pushing in the last year for the changes to medical assistance in dying, which included an expansion to allow people with disabilities who aren't dying to apply for MAID to be rolled back. And the reason we were against this change is because the government seemed to have put more funding and energy toward our ability as disabled people to choose to die, even if we're not terminally ill, rather than accessible housing, rather than making sure disabled people can afford medications, rather than provide social assistance rates across the country that are above the poverty line for disabled people who can't work. More funding went into suicide access. And so we were pushing the knowledge that Black and Indigenous people were left out of these conversations. And there hadn't really been any thought put toward medical racism and the coercion that can come through the expanded medical assistance in dying process, on top of policies that were already prejudiced toward disabled people, such as the Ontario Triage Protocol, which said that if you have pre-existing conditions as a disabled person in Ontario and Quebec and other provinces that have passed similar triage protocols, you can be denied care in an ER simply because of your pre-existing conditions. And so we were fighting against these changes to the way that we access our healthcare, and will continue to be able to access our healthcare. And DJNO is a space where we're teaching young disabled people to be political and the power of being political. And this definitely is connected back to colonialism. The transatlantic slave trade was created on the basis of the Black mind and the Black body being linked together to frame Black people as not human, as incompetent. Other examples of this can be the fact that Black people were diagnosed as having mental illnesses. When seeking freedom, they were diagnosed with drapetomania. This idea that seeking freedom meant that you were inherently mentally ill. We also know that Canada as a state has a deep history of eugenics, right? We know that the Alberta Sterilization Act forced disabled women and Indigenous women to be sterilized without their will, knowledge, and consent, and that this legislation wasn't rolled back until the late 70s. And we know that policies like this around eugenics are not new and are tied to policies in the present day that we've seen come out of COVID around the triage protocol and the ways in which certain people are seen as less than and are denied care. And we also interrogate um, police violence. The killings of Abdirahman Abdi, a Somali man with autism, Solomon Fakiri, a Muslim man with schizophrenia, Andrew Loku, and so many others with mental health concerns who were killed by police on mental health checks or otherwise. These are all examples of disabled people of color who are consistently left out of conversations around their right to exist freely and equally in Canada. Moving forward, we need to understand that everyone has the right to exist here, no matter your ability to work, your ability to produce, and your ability to be seen as contributing to our economy, right? Disabled people deserve the right to exist whether or not they can work. Women deserve the right to exist whether or not they can work or whether or not they procreate. We are more than what our bodies are able to do and how our bodies are being measured by our present state in society. I think that in order to build a world where everyone is equal and free, we need to reconsider the ways in which we force labor, the ways in which we force people to be able to produce in order to survive. Because not everybody can do that. And what we see over and over again is as the second you're unable to do so, you're pivoted and moved into institutions, whether it's our carceral systems, our healthcare systems, or our long-term care systems. All of the systems that people are pushed into when you're no longer able to work or produce are carceral. We saw situations where doorknobs were removed in long-term care homes over the course of the pandemic. We've seen situations where people in long-term care homes are accessing medical assistance and dying not because they want to die, but because the long-term care homes are carceral, right? Chris Gladders, who was a Hamiltonian, or his family is from Hamilton, actually used medical assistance in dying last year because of having to sit in his own feces and urine for weeks at a time. He said, you know what, I'm done with this, and he chose to apply for medical assistance in dying. We should not have a society where, being disabled means you are locked away in a long-term care home, or be aging out of our current workforce means you are locked away in a long-term care home. The solutions would be make healthcare free. Make healthcare free so that people don't have to struggle to pay for their medications. Make home care free so that anybody who needs it is able to shower when they need to, able to be at home in community when they want to. Make sure that accessible and affordable housing are both top priorities. Because if the people who need affordable housing the most are often disabled in one way or another, it's not right to not have legislation around accessible housing builds in this day and age. In order to really build societies that are inclusive of everybody, we need to be prioritizing those who have the least ability to produce, right? Because that is how you build an anti-capitalist world. And that's how you build a society where we value people for more than just what they do for us. We value people simply because they exist. Thank you.
Up next, get ready to get up off your feet.
Martha Karayuki, a movement facilitator based in Hamilton, Ontario, whose goal is to bring more playfulness into movements while incorporating dance rooted in African and Caribbean styles. Martha teaches at Good Body Feel Movement Studio here in Hamilton.
Hello. Welcome to International Women's Day 2022. My name is Martha Karaoke. I go with she, her pronouns, and I'm here to get you moving, to wake up our bodies as we celebrate ourselves on this day. So an invitation to get off your chair if you're seated, or if you choose to move while you're seated, this is your time of celebration of you. But this is to get us warm, to get us feeling the juices of the goodness of our bodies on this day. So welcome, welcome. Let's get started. Pedaling our feet. Yay! Hello, International Women's Day 2022. Let's start with side, side, side. Hey! As we hear the sounds of Africa, now forward and back, forward, back, forward, back. For 2, and 1, and let's just march. As you start to get warm, maybe your arms want to jump in with the movement, and enjoying this. Go 4, and 3, 2, planting our feet. Let's wake up our shoulders and roll. Nice big rotation. Feeling our shoulders opening. Perhaps we've been sitting all day. We're waking it up for 2 and 1. Let's switch directions. Here we go, forward. Woo! Waking up, feeling our back opening. And 1 more. Let's bring back our feet. Again, a pedal. Go 4, 3. Let's wake up our hips. For side, back, side, forward, side, back, side. Again. Ha. An invitation to sing if you want. Let's switch directions. Ha. 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 4, 3, 2. Let's march it out. Making this march bigger and bigger as we lean into these sounds. Woo! 4, 4, and 3, and 2. Let's plant our feet and take a deep breath as we raise our arms all the way up and lower them. Woo! And this time, let's leave our hands all the way up. We lower one hand and we just bend slightly to the side and switch to the opposite. Bringing our spines into our movements today. Woo! Last one. And let's land with both hands at the top. Perhaps you come onto your toes and feel how amazing you are. In your brilliance. And let's lower it all down and march it out. Taking our wrists, taking our whole bodies. Woo! And keep going. We're starting to get warm as we celebrate this day. That's all about us, celebrating women, breaking the barriers, creating space for acceptance for everybody, just as they are. All right, let's play with some drums for celebration. Ha! And hit. Perhaps you want to add the sound. Let's switch. Let's get ready to lift up our knees. Nice and gentle. Or make it your own style. Hey. 4, 3, 2. Get ready. We're going to kick it back. Here we go. Ha. Ha. So 4, 3, 2, and 1. And let's open our bodies like this. Back body, front body opening. And now, let's take a step and double up. Forward. Ha. Now go back. Ha. Hey. Last one. And now, back to our drums. have to wanna make a sound as you hit the ground and switch the other side. Woo! Hey! First two. And now, come on knees. Hey! Hey! 4, 4, 3. Now kick it back. Here we go. Woo! Ha! For 4, 3, 2, and here we go. Hey! 4, 4, 3, 2. Let's take a step forward and cut for 2. Ha! And now back. Woo! Ha! For 2. And 1. All right. Hey. Ha. 2. Woo. There is a celebration. 4. 3. Breaking the barrier. Our theme for this year. All right. Now. Hey. Ha. Ha. A celebration of ourselves, our beauty, everything we are. Right in this moment, that's who we are. All right. As we, with that theme of breaking barriers, remembering what that actually means, creating space for all women to be as they are. Ha! Our last little tune. I hope you're warm like me, listening to our bodies, side to side. Hey! Woo! Looking side to side. Hey! For 2 and 1. Now let's travel for 4, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Ha! I got so 4, 3. Last one. Ha! Now let's go that way. Ha! Hey, how does it feel for you? Some shoulders. Ha! Go 4, 3, 2. Again. Up way. Ha! Celebrating all we are. 4, 3, 2. Again. 4, 3, 2. Woo! Now side to side. Make this your own, as big as you want it, or as small as you want it. This is your day. Ha! Ready? We will travel for 4. Woo! Here we go. Ha! 4, 3, 2. I got. Hey! Ha! I got. Last one. Woo! Now let's roll that way. I need some arms as we celebrate this day. Ha! Breaking the barrier. Down shoulders. 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2. Again. Roll your way. And break the barrier. Ha! Shoulders. Woo! 2, 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold it here. Remembering what this theme is for our day today and something we carry for the rest of our year and into our future. We are breaking the barriers, creating space for everyone to be as they are. Thank you for moving with me as we continue listening to these wise words. Celebrate yourself today. You're amazing. My name is Martha. See her. And I send you all so much love and peace. Thank you.
Leanne McGregor is a Community Garden Skills Coordinator at the Hamilton Community Food Center, Neighbor to Neighbor. Leanne will be talking about communal garden models in Hamilton, plus an easy way for anyone to get involved in growing in their kitchen at home.
Hello everyone, my name is Leanne. I am here at the Hamilton Community Food Center in our community kitchen. And my role here at the Hamilton Community Food Center of Neighbor to Neighbor, we are a department of Neighbor to Neighbor. My role is Community Garden Skills Coordinator. I'm here to share with you a little bit about our food center and the work that Neighbor to Neighbor is doing, and to talk about our garden that we have in the community. And then I also have some supplies here. I wanted to do a short demonstration on a way that anyone can be growing some food for themselves in their own kitchen, even during the winter, like it is now. So first of all, folks that don't know about Neighbor to Neighbor, we're a nonprofit organization located in Hamilton on the Hamilton Escarpment in the Rollston neighborhood, close to Mohawk College. We have a number of different programs and departments that are all focused on helping folks and empowering folks in the community to improve their quality of life, whatever that means to them. We have different community counseling programs and education programs, tutoring programs for children and youth. We have a food bank for folks to shop at, and we have our community food center, which is a department of Neighbor to Neighbor. And here we're doing programs to involve community members in accessing food, in cooking their own food, and in sharing in the community aspect of eating food. So we have food access programs where folks can come and get prepared meals for their households. We have cooking programs where folks come together to prepare meals and eat those meals together. We have those cooking programs for children and youth and adults. We have a produce market that happens on Saturday mornings and a low-cost cafe. And then we have our garden programs as well. So one of the gardens we have is a community plot-based garden. And so this is where individuals or family groups, our friend groups, can have their own plot of garden. And so they're responsible for planting and tending and growing their own food there. And then myself and some other staff are supporting that. So we're here to answer questions and help with any watering or troubleshooting that needs to happen in people's garden plots. And I want to add that another aspect of our work is in supporting the network of gardens. So in Hamilton, there are about 95 community plot-based gardens, like the one I just described. And so if you're interested in getting a garden plot, you can reach out to us and we can help you navigate that process. We can connect you with a community garden coordinator that might be close to where you live, and we can support that. So the program I'm most excited to talk to you about is our communal garden program. So this is another garden that we have close to our food center here. And in this garden, it's not plot-based. Instead, we have different times of the week where members of the community come together and we grow the food as a group and we share the food as a group. And so we're right in the middle of our crop planning right now, deciding what we're going to be planting. We'll be starting our seeds indoors pretty soon. Some of the crops that need a really long time to grow will get started indoors, and then we will transplant them outside when the weather is more suitable for them toward the end of May. We then plant those transplants together. We're watering and weeding, and we're harvesting the food and sharing that as a group. And, one of the sort of ideas that we have that sort of motivates our work at the Hamilton Community Food Center is that eating food, it requires a community effort. So whether that's community that we're not seeing, such as the farmers that grow the food, the people that transport the food and sell that food in stores or make it available in some other way, Sometimes we don't know all of the parts that bring food to our tables, but they are there. And so what we're doing at our center is showing those parts. And so we're growing the food. We're showing that the vast community effort that it takes to produce food. And in our communal garden, we're sharing all of the tasks and the contributions that it takes to grow a plant and get it big enough that you can harvest. We have sort of an expanded idea of what it takes to grow a plant. So in addition to the work of putting compost on that plant and maintaining healthy soil and building compost piles and watering and weeding, we also have the idea that plants are quite similar to humans in that they require a community to grow and to flourish. And so we treat our plants with kindness. We observe them. We observe the interactions that they're having with the insects and with other plants and animals and with humans. And we're appreciating them. And we strongly believe that this helps them to grow and flourish. And so the garden members that come to our garden are encouraged to take a self-care approach. So no one is expected to do heavy lifting or do anything that their body might disagree with, or their mind. Maybe you're not in the mood to do certain types of tasks that day, and that's totally fine. People are encouraged to be self-guided when they come to the garden and do a contribution that feels good to them that day. So sometimes that can be taking pictures of the plants with our shared camera, or it could be drawing portraits of plants, or talking to them. There's lots of ways to contribute to a garden. And so we encourage all of those contributions. They all matter and are very important to the success of our food growing work. Another part that we look at is, just like those plants need different community interactions, we know that humans, of course, do as well. And so one of the benefits of having our communal garden program is that people can interact with one another. So there's a really nice social aspect to our garden program. We're always in conversation with one another and sharing what we know, asking questions, talking about what we want to learn. And especially these discussions happen when we're sharing the food. And we have a lot of conversations about how to equitably share the food that we're growing and to make sure that every participant in our program is leaving with some food for the week and with an amount of food that feels good for them and their families. So depending on family size and depending on what you feel like cooking that week, we do a lot of conversation and negotiating around how we're going to share the food that we're growing together. And speaking of the food we're growing together, we do spend a lot of time also discussing what it is we want to be growing and eating. And a lot of times we want to emphasize crops that are culturally important to folks or culturally desirable. And so for myself, I am identified as a white settler person. My ancestry is Western European. And one of the privileges that I have is that I do get to go to the grocery store and find foods that are important to my cultural recipes, to the things that I want to cook. And this isn't the case for a lot of the community members that we work with here. And so it's really important for us to prioritize growing the crops that are not so widely accessible in grocery stores. And so this means that we are growing a beautiful array of crops. We had about 80 to 90 different varieties of crops in our garden last year. And it's just a wonderful part of the program to get to see these plants and nurture them from seed to big leafy plant or big fruiting plant. And to get to talk about these plants that are important to people as a group and to share in that experience of getting to see them throughout their whole life and then getting to cook with them at home and for people to be able to share those crops with their families. So that's a little bit about the garden and about the programs at Neighbor to Neighbor. I want to spend a few minutes here just showing you a way that I like to grow food in the wintertime just for myself. This year I've been showing community members how to do this as well, and we've been having a lot of fun practicing this skill. So the skill I'm going to show you is called sprouting. There's many different ways to do sprouting at home. Pardon me. But I'm going to show you my favorite way, and I'll tell you why it's my favorite way later. But for this method of sprouting, you will need a jar. So it could be a jar that it could maybe not look like this. It can be any jar that may have contained food from the store, or when you go food shopping, you can reuse any kind of jar. But this is a mason jar that I have. You'll often see it with a lid, a screw-on lid, and a cap like this. But for this sprouting, we're not going to need this part of the jar. So you'll need some kind of jar. You will need something to trap the seeds. So this is a piece of cheesecloth, and I have also a piece of wire mesh. And you might need an elastic band, or the circle part of your jar. And so what all of this is for is basically we're going to take some seeds, we're going to grow them in a jar. We don't need any sunlight to do this. We do need water, but that's about it. And you'll find that in about 5 to 7 days of taking care of seeds in a jar this way, you will have a vegetable that you can eat and you can use in meals. So I'm going to show you the steps. So firstly, you're going to need some seeds. These are mung bean seeds. You can use mung bean seeds. I like to buy them from the bulk barn a lot of times. You can buy them or you can acquire them anywhere that you're shopping for your food. Another one that I really like to sprout is called alfalfa seeds. So you might be more familiar with this one. Sometimes you see this one on the shelves of supermarkets and things. But I'm going to show you what they look like when they're grown in a moment. The first thing you're going to do is measure out your seeds rather. So for larger seeds like mung bean seeds, and you could use lentil seeds, you could use chickpea seeds, anything that's on your dry storage shelf, like you see behind me here, any kind of dry legume seed that you have, you can actually sprout it. So you'll measure for the large seeds 4 tablespoons into your jar. Just to be quick, I'm only going to measure a little bit, but you would measure 4 tablespoons into your jar. And for your small seeds, like alfalfa, you would measure 1.5 tablespoons. So I'm just going to do 1 just to show you. Just a little bit of seeds goes a long way. And so the first step is going to be adding the water, just enough to cover them. And then we're going to let them soak and sit and rest and absorb that water and wake up from their dormancy. So seeds are basically alive all the time. They're just dormant, and they need the right conditions to come alive and start growing and sprouting and doing their thing. So I would just rest these somewhere on a kitchen counter or a table. They want to rest for 8 to 12 hours. So you can leave them overnight. You can leave them for the whole day, set them up in the morning, and come back in the evening to continue the process. 8 to 12 hours resting in water. Once they have rested, you can do the next part. This is where your cheesecloth or your wire mesh is going to come in handy. So for the cheesecloth, I just place it over the jar with an elastic band. So it's nice and secure. And so when I come back after they've soaked, I'm just going to drain this water out. I just drain the water out. I wait till the drips stop. And then I'm going to rest them in a bowl. So I just rest them upside down like this on an angle. And this is where they will sit for most of their time. Importantly, what we're going to do is rinse our sprouts or our seeds 2 times every day. So in the morning, in the evening, all you're going to do is rinse. So you'll be adding some water, swishing, draining that water out. When it's completely drained out, you'll be leaving it in the empty bowl on an angle like this so that the moisture is always draining out. So toward the end of your process, you'll see your seeds have sprouted. So these are the mung bean seeds, and these are the alfalfa seeds. They get pretty big, they get crunchy, they're full of nutrients, and they're really an enjoyable way to be growing in the wintertime. So if you have any questions about this, please reach out to me. I would love to talk to you more and give you all of the information that you might need. Feel free to reach out to me about gardening, any questions, or if you want to join our programs here at the Hamilton Community Food Center. Thank you for watching and have a great day.
Hi, I'm Sarah Ernest, the Director of Philanthropy and Communications at YWCA Hamilton. Our organization has been working to improve the lives of women and gender diverse people in our community for over 130 years. Today, we continue to advocate for women, girls, and the Two-Spirit and LGBTQ SIA+ community members, and particularly those who've experienced poverty, violence, and homelessness. We've witnessed major milestones and victories when it comes to advancing the rights of those we serve. But our fight for equality and justice for women and gender diverse people is not over. The COVID-19 pandemic continues to disrupt our lives, our communities, and in many cases, the safety and economic well-being of women. The pandemic continues to disproportionately impact women as they face higher number of job losses, insecure work, increased childcare responsibilities, and domestic violence. The good news is we know we can help women recover from the effects of the pandemic. Your YWCA Hamilton, with YWCAs across Canada, are calling for increased investments in childcare, in upskilling and reskilling programs, mental health supports, support for survivors of violence, and investments in affordable housing right here in Hamilton. International Women's Day gives us an opportunity to celebrate our achievements while continuing to fight gender-based inequality. We know that our society cannot succeed unless women succeed. This International Women's Day, let's work together and continue our collective advocacy and our fight to make sure that women, girls, and gender diverse people have the rights, resources, and opportunities to shape their own lives and define their communities.
Hi, my name is Tori, and I'm a volunteer with Sasha. What's Sasha, you might be wondering? Well, Sasha is the Sexual Assault Center of Hamilton and area. We offer services to survivors as well as allies and community members, such as our 24-hour support line, counseling, the Diverse Communities Outreach Program, and public education. We have been in Hamilton fighting to end sexual violence and all forms of oppression since 1975. This is our mission. And with this mission, we are happy to be here with you to celebrate International Women's Day and to engage with this year's theme, Choose to Challenge. It may seem intimidating to challenge misogyny, transphobia, racism, ableism, and all forms of oppression. But we believe that we have a responsibility to do so. That until all oppressed people can thrive in a world that values our diversity and celebrates our identities, we must keep choosing to challenge oppression every time we see or hear it. Sometimes we hear that feminists make a big deal out of things, that it's just a joke, that it's not a big deal or really harming anyone. But we know that these jokes contribute to creating a society that others marginalized communities and that makes light of the struggles of oppression. And in a society where these things are so normalized, it can become easier to commit violence and to overlook and minimize the violence in our world today. And that is why we all need to choose to challenge every single time. To change one person's attitude will make a difference. And together, we can create a world where we are all safe. Thank you for allowing us to speak today, and happy International Women's Day.
Alex Berkeshi is a manager of shelter logistics at Mission Services in Nismuch House. Alex has over 10 years of experience in the violence against women sector.
Hi everyone, happy International Women's Day. My name is Alex and I work in Nismuch House, which is one of the shelters in Hamilton offering services to women identified individuals and their children who are experiencing abuse or homelessness. Today I'm here to talk to you about safety planning, but more specifically I'm here to talk to you about safety planning when there's violence in the relationship. Before we get started, I briefly wanted to talk to you and touch on abuse and what that could look like in a relationship. When we talk about abuse, it's important to understand that at the root of abuse is power and control. And what I mean by this is there is an imbalance of power where the abusive relationship is used to control the other person. Now, when we talk about abuse in a relationship, it can look very different from one relationship to the next. Most people associate physical violence, such as hitting or pushing, with abuse. However, physical violence is only one way abuse can present itself in a relationship. Other abusive behaviors could include emotional abuse, such as name calling or yelling. Or abuse can look like minimizing or making light of the abuse, gaslighting, using your children to make you feel guilty. Or abuse can also mean that one person holds all the decision-making power in the relationship. Or it could be that one person is making all the financial decisions, or it could be using threats or intimidation. Really, every relationship is unique and different. Therefore, abuse can look very different from one relationship to the next. That's why it's really important that when you're creating a safety plan, that it's tailored to your specific relationship dynamics. So, what exactly do we mean safety plan? What is a safety plan? A safety plan is a practical plan that aims to improve your safety when you are not ready to leave your relationship, but abuse is happening, or when you are preparing to leave a relationship, or a safety plan could be created for after you have left an abusive relationship. Now, like I said, every relationship is different, so every safety plan will look different. For those of you that are not ready to leave, but are experiencing abuse in your home, it's very important that you tell someone that you trust about the abuse so that there is somebody that knows what you are going through and experiencing and can keep an eye on you or your children. If you are not ready to leave and live with an abusive, or not even live, because abuse can happen even if your partner doesn't live with you. So when you're setting up a safety plan, think about your home. What is your home's layout? There are certain areas in a home that could pose more safety risk to you. So if the abuse is escalating, try to avoid places where items can be used as a weapon or as a potential weapon, such as a kitchen, garage, the bathroom. Avoid small, cramped places. If you can, go to an area of your home where you can put distance between you and your partner. Or better yet, where are your emergency exits? Can you climb out your window? Can you go out the side door? Really think about all the ways that you can increase your safety when violence is happening, and make that part of your safety plan. Who can call 911 for you? Do your next door neighbors hear you fighting? Is it possible for you to let them know, hey, keep an ear out, and if you hear shouting, please call 911 for me? Or it could be setting up routines in your home so that you always leave your keys and your purse in the same spot, so that if there is an increased risk to you, you can just grab it and be out the door and not be stuck somewhere and be able to take off. But this is just some of the things that could be included on a safety plan for you when you're living in an abusive situation and you're not ready to leave yet. Here at In As Much House, we have women advocates that can answer your questions. They can help you create safety planning for you, and you do not need to come to the shelter. You can access our services in the comfort of your own home. You can call us. We even have a text line. All of the information will be displayed at the end. Jot them down, put them in your phone under a different name, part of a safety plan, so that if you need to reach out, it's not an obvious indicator that you're reaching out to a service, because that could increase your risk. So when we talk about safety planning, it could look different if you have children with you. For those of you that are living in an abusive relationship and have children, talk to your children. Explain to your children that abuse is never right, even when it's done by a person that might be someone that they love. Teach your children that it's important to keep safe when there's abuse happening in your home. A safety plan for a child could include telling them not to get between you and your partner when there is a fight between the two of you. Maybe if your child is old enough, it could be a code word that you can say and that will tell your child that they need to leave and get help. Or it could mean this is when you call 911. Again, every situation is very different. And it needs to be something that works for you, because a safety plan is only going to be as good as far as it serves you and it keeps you and your children safe. When you're preparing to leave an abusive relationship, it's really important that you know that when you leave, you might not be able to go back to your home. So it's important to create a plan of items that maybe that you can keep at a friend's house or at a neighbor's house or in the car. It could also mean keeping gas in your vehicle so that when you're ready to leave, that you are not limited by that. It could mean connecting with one of our transitional housing support workers who can help you apply for housing or help you secure housing while you're still living at home in the home with the abuser. Again, you can always call and be connected with support at any of the women's shelters in Hamilton. In As Much House has a crisis line that is dedicated to answer your call when you are in need. So please make sure that you reach out and you call and access the services that are available to you. So after you have left an abusive relationship, it's extremely important to know that this is the most vulnerable situation that you can be in, and your risk for violence increases significantly because now your abuser knows that you are leaving, and that means that they're losing control, and that could be very, very difficult for them, and they might lash out at you. So it's important to create a safety plan after you have left. So this could mean changing all the passwords on your phone, your email, or your bank account, or anything that they might use to retaliate against you. It could mean the new safety plan could include changing your routine. If you always take the same way to work, or you always go to the same parks, maybe change it up. Maybe take a longer route to work, or go to a different park with your children. Or a safety plan after you leave could include opening a bank account and transferring all your child tax benefits, your source of income, over to the new bank account so that you control your finances and he or she or they don't. Another important aspect to consider is update your community resources. Where are the community resources that you can access? Are there ones that are maybe a little bit further away that you can switch over so that your partner wouldn't know that you'd be accessing those services? Talk to your work about your situation. I mean, I don't mean talk to everybody about it. Go see HR. They're there to help you create a safety plan. Talk to your manager to help you create a safety plan for you at work. Avoid places that you frequent. Again, everyone's situation is very different, so your safety plan needs to fit you and your life. Like I said, we have the support at any of the shelters that you can call to create your own safety plan that's tailored to your specific situation. Your safety plan needs to fit you. So please call one of the advocates here at In As Much House or any of the violence against women shelters in Hamilton, because they will be able to help you. And that's what they're there for. So please reach out. We're more than happy to help. And like I said earlier, you can reach us at our phone number. You can text us and get connected and get supported. You're not alone, and there's help out there for you. So please jot down some of these numbers as part of your safety plan. Make sure you save it under a different name. So when the time arrives and you need to reach out, you can do so safely. Take care, everyone, and enjoy your day.
Asli Mahdi, who uses she, her pronouns, is a Black Muslim writer of Somali descent, born and raised in Canada. Her poems have been published in The Offing, Room Magazine, and The Drinking Gourd. Outside of writing, she's an enamel pin collector, dark lipstick enthusiast, a 90s R&B and alt-rock fiend, and a manic panic fanatic. She's a student of Islam, self-care, shadows, and solitude.
Hello, everyone. My name is Asli Mehdi. I use she and her pronouns, and I am the Women's Community Developer at the AIDS Committee of Ottawa. And I am joining you folks virtually on International Women's Day from the unsurrendered territory and homeland of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe peoples. I'm really thankful that I've been invited to join you all on International Women's Day, especially with this theme that's very dear to me called hashtag Break the Bias. So how I understand the theme means to be able to speak up and to speak out about gender inequalities, about violence against women, against especially racialized trans women, against gender diverse folks, against non-binary folks. And using methods such as spoken word to do so. So today I'll be sharing a few poems of mine. The topics can be relatively heavy, so I hope that folks are able to take care of themselves, and you're more than welcome to step away. Okay, so I'll get started with a poem called Shadow Play. I can't trust you. I'm afraid of becoming your nighttime relic. I'm afraid of only being seen in the dark, where I blend into the blankets, where the candle's lights drip down my cheeks, slip past my lips, and drapes across my shoulders, where these fingers of light trace my edges but blur my substance. I'm afraid of only being remembered as the footsteps in the dark, because I am simply a shadow to you, and this is simply shadow play to you. The next poem is called Baggage Check. My body is not a suitcase. I cannot be easily stored away, then reopened for new trips, new trees. My lips are a brochure scrawled with intriguing information, while the rest is a mystery you are meant to unfold. You do not control my mouth, my teeth with many zippers, my pockets fill you with wonder, and when you are done with the destination, you try to toss me onto a dirty hotel floor. You try to spread me open. You try to fill me with new souvenirs. And then you try to forcefully reseal me. Then you try to discard me into a linen closet, a basement, a dumpster. Once the excitement, the exotic has worn off, but my body is not a suitcase. And you cannot check out this baggage. The next piece is called Dodging Daggers. His index finger, curved like a dagger, is trying to reel you in. The tip is grazing your jawline. Do not be fooled by the dress of jewels on his hips, with his language lacquered in gold. He wants you to jump into his sheath and his sheets and polish his blade while he crushes your heart with his metal teeth. He wants you to worship his tadpoles as totems, but you do not believe in his idolatry. Remember this when he calls you with his index finger curved like a dagger. This next poem is very near and dear to me. I feel like it's probably the best thing I ever wrote, possibly. And it's called Protesting Punctuation. When you silence someone for so long, their voice begins to sound like missed phone calls, and their body then becomes the answering machine that's gone into a coma from swallowing too many commas. And we have served as commas, placeholders for when someone talks too much and doesn't want to take a break because a period is a full stop, a plea to begin a new phrase with a new voice. And sometimes we have shown up as colons with our skins written on like grocery lists littered with bullets. And it's cruel the way Black girls are used as bargaining chips, semicolons placed between two completely different phrases, forced to be silent mediators and forced to choose to be a period or to be a comma. No comment. And we were born with this court sentence, and we've given up on waiting for the end of this probation period, so we begin to play by their grammar rules. We use question marks to voice our concerns, but they're read as violent. We use exclamation marks to express our grievances, but they're seen as militant. And our language is said to be foreign, laced in italics to stand out. Parentheses are used when their crimes and our punishments are being investigated. We're then put into the margins, also known as prisons. Quotation marks encase our thoughts into a panopticon, and asterisk is applied to the exceptional and the exaggerated, but never the everyday, and ellipses arise from when we go numb from the dulling dial tone. So now we decide to break their grammar rules. We lowercase our letter i's to stand as one. We craft words that seem unintelligible. We use metaphors only we know. But when will we direct where the punctuation mark goes? And if it were up to me, the first punctuation mark we learn would be is how to use an apostrophe, because who else can own me but me? And this last piece, because I wanted to make sure we ended on a lighter note, is actually from the late and very great Ntozake Shange, from her seminal piece for colored girls who have considered suicide when the rainbow was enough. And it's one of the last poems in the book by the character called Lady in Red. And it goes, I sat up one night walking a boarding house, screaming, crying, the ghost of another woman who was missing what I was missing. I wanted to jump out of my bones and be done with myself. Leave me alone and go on in the wind. It was too much. I fell into a numbness till the only tree I could see took me up in her branches and held me in a breeze. Made me dawn dew, that chill at daybreak. The sun wrapped me up, swinging with rose light everywhere. The sky laid over me like a million men. I was cold. I was burning up. A child in endlessly weaving garments for the moon with my tears. I found God in myself and loved her. I loved her fiercely. Well, thank you again for everyone for allowing me to come into your space, even if it was virtually. I hope that these poems that I shared were able to sort of address some of the themes for International Women's Day. I hope that when we have discussions about For example, gender-based violence, especially as how it impacts racialized women, especially Black women, that we understand that it could look different for different groups. I hope that when we address each other, we're able to see each other for who we really are, fully as ourselves and not based on any sort of stereotypes and false perceptions. I hope that we go on forward and love ourselves truly and find the beauty in ourselves and also find the beauty in each other. Thank you all so much, and take care and stay stellar.
The Hamilton Community Legal Clinic offers legal support to residents living in the City of Hamilton. We support members of the community who have questions or are experiencing issues in different legal areas like housing law, employment law, social assistance, workers' compensation, immigration, and more. Members of our community can receive assistance in both English and French. At the center of our justice work is community. Collaborating with community for social change means advocating against systems that create poverty, inequity, and perpetuate colonial power. As a clinic, we work to champion anti-racism, anti-oppression, diversity, and inclusion in all of the work that we do. The Hamilton Community Legal Clinic offers services to those who contact our office directly and through initiatives that have a specific mandate to bridge gaps in legal services, support, and relationships. More information about our services and initiatives can be viewed on our website, hamiltonjustice.ca. Residents of the City of Hamilton can apply for legal services by calling our office at 905-527-4572 or by applying for services through our website, hamiltonjustice.ca. Happy International Women's Day from everyone here at the Hamilton Community Legal Clinic.
Meghavi Soni is a very active volunteer of the Hamilton Hindu Samaj community and Women's Outreach Program. She's a professionally trained Kathak Indian classical dancer and a physical therapist by profession.
Namaskar and welcome. I'm Meghavi Soni and I'm representing on behalf of Hamilton Hindu Samaj Women's Outreach Group. Happy Women's Day to every wonderful woman throughout the world. I'm going to perform semi-Kathak Indian classical dance.
Hindu Samaj Women's Outreach Group is a Hamilton-based, non-political, non-denominational, intergenerational group that promotes link with diverse groups to build an inclusive, culturally rich communities, creates civic awareness, and organizes various activities throughout the year. The Hindu Samaj of Hamilton and region is a non-profit charitable organization that strives to satisfy the spiritual, social, educational, and cultural needs of the Hindu community residing in Hamilton and surrounding areas. It is a center of worship and a focal point for many cultural, social, and community events. Diwali, a festival of lights, symbolizes the spiritual victory of light over darkness, good over evil, and knowledge over ignorance. Holi, a festival of colors, marks the arrival of spring, harvest, and new life. For more information about our upcoming events, please visit facebook.com/HSWOG. Thank you.
Hello. Ni hao.
Jambo. Bonjour.
Namaste.
Hola.
We wish you all a happy International Women's Day from City of Hamilton's Vaccine Ambassador team. Today, we will share how our team can help the Hamilton community. The goals and mission of Vaccine Ambassadors are as follows. We build confidence by promoting community supports for COVID-19 and vaccination. We arrange transportation and assist with vaccine booking. We attend community network meetings and foster collaborative relationships with community partners to advance the COVID-19 vaccination program. We build trust by actively engaging with racialized, vulnerable, socially isolated, and Indigenous communities, as well as those living on low income. We build and maintain positive working relationships with various community partners and leaders. We can remain accessible to questions from individuals to support informed choices. We share vaccine, health, and support information with the community. We share experiences of the community with public health staff, and we are a link to relevant resources to assess potential additional health and social needs of all clients. We link clients with appropriate community resources. We connect with local organizations, residents, faith-based leaders, community neighborhood associations, hubs, and existing local networks. We collaborate with community-based groups and organizations to develop resources. We receive and respond to inquiries from priority populations regarding COVID-19 vaccination. At clinics, we welcome clients and provide accompaniment and translation in different languages. Please contact us if you need any help regarding COVID-19 vaccines. We can connect you with specific ambassadors based on your language needs. Thank you.
Marcelle Constable is an osteopathic manual practitioner working out of Innova Health Clinic in Studio Z Pilates. She's passionate about anatomy and helping people find long-lasting health.
Hi, I'm Marcelle Constable. I'm an osteopathic manual practitioner in Hamilton, Ontario, and I've been asked, bear with me, to talk to you about stress. Stay with me. Now, I know you're probably sitting there thinking, what on earth can this woman tell us about stress that we haven't either read or heard of in the last 2 years? And that's a really great question. What I'd like to do today is explain to you a little bit about what we experience in our bodies when we feel stress, but also give you a tool that allows you to deflect stress as it's happening. And I don't mean go and lie down and meditate. It's actually allowing you to change your physiology at the time you're experiencing stress. But first, some anatomy. It's my favorite subject. In our body, we have nerves that power our muscles. And we have nerves that power our organs and our processes. The nerves that power our organs and processes are called your autonomic nervous system. There are two components of your autonomic nervous system, your parasympathetic nervous system, also known as your rest and digest nervous system. And that system exits out of your brain and your pelvis. And your sympathetic nervous system, also known as your fight or flight nervous system. These nerves exit from your neck to your navel or from T1 to L2. These two components are designed to work together to keep us in harmony. But sometimes one of these systems will be working harder than the other, and in a stressful situation, it is the sympathetic nervous system which will be activated. Stress is not all bad. We need it to power our brain and other systems of the body. But when we are presented with a stressful situation, these are some of the things that can happen in our body. Our heart will start racing. Our salivation is suppressed, so our throat gets dry. Blood flow will increase to the muscles of our legs, which makes us want to move them. None of these things are helpful responses when we have to say, record a video on stress for International Women's Day. So if we're feeling agitated and like we need to calm down and our heart is racing and our throat's gone dry and we're twitching, needing to move, what can we do? Well, we need to tap into that other component of the autonomic nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system. We need some rest and digest. And I'm going to give you a tool to do that. It's called the physiological sigh. And it's something we actually do naturally before we fall asleep or if we've been crying really hard. It's a means of regaining our breath. And it looks and sounds like this. It's 2 short inhales and 1 long or extended exhale. Now I inhale through my nose and exhale through my mouth. There's lots of research about mouth breathing and nose breathing. I don't care. I want you to do whatever is comfortable for you. 2 inhales and 1 long extended exhale. I told you it would work in an instant, and it almost does. It may take up to 30 seconds to work. We actually don't want our heart rate to go from racing to really slow. It needs to be a gradual process. But if after 30 seconds you're still feeling symptoms, try the physiological sigh 2 to 3 more times. But just have faith that it is an incredible tool in your toolbox that you can access anytime you're feeling too jacked up, too agitated, too stressed. What are some other things that we can do throughout our day to help mitigate stress? Well, self-care is really important, but what does that even mean? I'm going to take you through the day and I'll give you some little tips and tricks to help you feel better when stressful occasions occur. Morning self-care. Before grabbing your phone or hopping out of bed, check in with your body. What am I feeling? How am I feeling? Are you feeling stiff and sore in the back? Well, instead of sitting straight up, roll onto your side. Put both feet on the ground and push your heels into the floor before standing up. If you wake up and your feet hurt, massage the bottom of your feet before hopping out and have a pair of shoes handy. It'll just make it a little bit easier. Are you a bit anxious about your day? You can try some deep breathing. Humming to your favorite song is also really helpful. Are you feeling good but short on time? Do some breath work, some gratitude. Think about things that give you joy and what you are thankful for. If you're feeling good and you've got some more time, find a YouTube video, do some yoga or some Pilates. Self-care can also be as simple as paying attention when you make your favorite coffee or tea in the morning. Smell it. What does it look like? How does it taste? You can also put on your favorite song and sing and dance. Self-care throughout the day. Things that can occur. You might be sitting at a computer for an extended period of time. You might have to have some uncomfortable conversations, or some unexpected stress arises. If you're sitting at a computer for an extended period of time, try changing your posture. Don't always cross one leg over the other or have your heels resting on the crossbar of the chair below you. Try sitting evenly through your sits bones. Make sure you invert your eyes from the screen. Looking out the window at nature is the best possible thing to give your eyes a break from the computer screen. And heel tapping. What is heel tapping? It's simply raising both heels up and letting them come back down to the ground. Repeat this about 20 times. It's an excellent exercise for circulation of the legs when we've been sitting for an extended period of time. If you have an uncomfortable conversation coming up throughout your day, I've got something for you to do first. It's called power posing. Stand up straight, take both hands, place them on your lower back, lift up through your thorax, raise your head, and take 3 nice deep breaths in and out. Guaranteed to power you through your uncomfortable conversation. We talked about the physiological side with unexpected stress. Another way to access your parasympathetic nervous system is to create some salivation. And in order to do that, you lie down and you close your eyes and you picture sucking on a lemon. What does that feel like? What does it make your mouth feel like? Really imagine all the sensations of sucking on a lemon. You'll be surprised at how well it works. Another way to switch things up throughout your day is to go for a walk. Even if it's just 10 minutes, it's an amazing physiological exercise. Put away your phone, walk with your eyes pointing forward, and swing your arms and legs. Now, if you need a distraction when you're walking, try the color consciousness exercise. That's where you pick one color for the day and try and spot all the things on your walk in that color. For example, red. Red doors, red fire extinguishers. I'll leave it up to you. Evening self-care. If at the end of the day you're stiff and sore, try doing the bird dog exercise. I'll include a link to this exercise at the end of the video. You can also try lying or sitting down and go through your body and give thanks for all the working parts. When you're preparing for bed, try and keep the lights low. If you can, turn off overhead lights. If your lights happen to be bright white, try putting a scarf or a t-shirt over them to change or soften the hue. Some good sleep habits are going to bed at the same time every night and waking up at the same time every morning. There are many meditation apps available at the moment, and they can be very helpful with helping you fall asleep. I really hope that you have a better understanding of what happens in our body when we experience stress, that you can put into practice the tool that will almost instantly change your stress levels, and that you have some self-care tips to get you through your day. Stay tuned for the resource pages.
Happy International Women's Day. My name is Jael, and I'm a coordinator with Victim Services here in Hamilton, which is a branch of the Hamilton Police Service. We provide information, resources, and support to anyone in the Hamilton community impacted by crime or traumatic circumstances. These circumstances can include, but are not limited to, intimate partner violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, sudden death, homicide, traffic or fire fatalities, elder abuse, and more. Crisis counseling and support is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Information about community services, resources, and referrals are provided to empower people to make informed choices. There is no timeline with accessing supports through the Victim Services branch. Although most supports occur immediately following a crime or traumatic event, we also provide support with historical circumstances. We do not require police involvement to access supports through the Victim Services branch. If you or someone you know has been impacted by a crime or traumatic event and you need someone to talk to, please call our 24-hour line at 905-546-4904. We are located inside the Hamilton Central Police Station at 155 King William Street.
My name is Pauline Camber, President of the Hamilton Caribbean Women's Group. The Hamilton Caribbean Women's Group is a non-profit group which was founded in January 2005 through the vision of our pioneer, Haley Panton and Faith Williams. We are a group of like-minded Caribbean women that are committed to the creation of positive environment for members as well as the Hamilton Wentworth community through self-development, empowerment, and community involvement. As a group, we host annual fundraising events like our fish fry, brunches, summer picnic, and our New Year gala. Some of our initiatives included but are not limited to our ongoing support to Jamaica Christian School for the Deaf, scholarships and bursary for students of our community, disaster relief in the Caribbean, ongoing support and care packages to families in need, our health symposium. We also provide care to our community as specific needs arise. Some of our upcoming events are our Good Friday Fish Fry, which will be a drive-through this year due to the COVID situation. We also have a mission trip planned for spring of this year, if permitted, due to COVID. As a group, we also take time out to rejuvenate, have fun, enjoy each other's company, and engage in self-development. Our motto is, together, everyone achieve more. Thank you.
Megan Saxena, Nanu Colombo, and Sandra Lamus are some of the COVID-19 vaccine ambassadors working for public health at the City of Hamilton. Vaccine ambassadors have been working with the City of Hamilton since May of 2021. The vaccine ambassadors are from 11 racialized communities living in Hamilton with diverse backgrounds of education and experiences.
Hello, everyone. My name is Megha Saxena, and I am a COVID-19 vaccine ambassador from City of Hamilton. Today, I am here to share answers to some common questions you may have about COVID-19 vaccines for children, share information about COVID-19 vaccines in pregnancy, and information about third booster doses. When we hear about COVID-19 vaccines for children 5 to 11, the first thing comes in the mind that why should children age 5 to 11 get the vaccine? In support to that, I would say that unvaccinated individuals are at the highest risk of getting COVID-19, while children and youth who get infected with COVID-19 usually experience mild symptoms. Some can get very sick, require hospitalization and an ICU admission, and can experience more serious and longer lasting symptoms. Vaccinating children and youth will reduce the risk of getting COVID-19 infection and protect them from severe outcome if they do. Having more children vaccinated reduces the risk of outbreaks and therefore prevent disruptions in schools and activities. Children should get vaccinated even if they usually have milder symptoms. So the only vaccine currently approved for 5 to 11-year-old is Pfizer BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine, and it has been tested in clinical trial for ages 5 to 11. Health Canada also determined the vaccine is safe and effective. COVID-19 vaccine dose for children 5 to 11 years is lower than the COVID-19 vaccine dose for people aged 12 and over. This is because the younger children have better immune systems and therefore require a smaller amount of vaccine to protect against COVID-19. The lower dose will reduce the side effect they may experience after getting the vaccine. Now coming to the side effect of COVID-19 vaccine in children. Yes, children can experience side effects from the COVID-19 vaccine, similar to other vaccines. These side effects are part of their body efforts to build immunity to COVID-19 following vaccinations. Common side effects include red or sore arm near the injection site, feel more tired than usual, headache, achy muscles or joint, fevers, and chills. These side effects are usually mild and go away within 1 to 3 days. If your child develops side effects that are worrying you or do not seem to be going away after a few days, please contact a healthcare provider. You can also apply a cool, damp cloth where the vaccine was given may help with soreness and swelling after getting the vaccine. If needed, speak to your doctor about over-the-counter pain or fever medication, which may help with side effects such as headache, muscle pain, and fever. It is generally not recommended to take medication before vaccination to try to prevent side effects. Lot of parents ask about that, are the vaccine mandatory for the children 5 to 11? So there are no requirement for children aged 5 to 11 to show proof of vaccination in Ontario. And also some parent ask, like, does a parent or a caregiver need to provide consent? Vaccine are provided with informed consent only. There is no minimum age to consent to treatment in Ontario. Informed consent means that you understand that what the vaccine involves, why it is recommended, and the risk and the benefits of getting or not getting it. Parents or substitute decision makers of children aged 5 to 11 will usually have to provide consent on behalf of their child at the time of appointment or fill out paper consent form for their child. For more information on COVID-19 vaccine for children and tips for helping prepare your child for their vaccination, you can go to www.hamilton.ca/child vaccine. If you have questions, book an appointment with a Sick Kids Hospital pediatric nurse at www.sickkids.ca/vaccine consult or call 1-888-304-6558. And translation is also available on this number. Now, I would like to share information about COVID-19 vaccines in pregnancy and information about third booster doses. It is recommended that pregnant individuals be vaccinated as soon as possible at any stage in pregnancy, as COVID-19 infection during pregnancy can be severe. COVID-19 infection in pregnancy increases the risk of medical complications and death. Pregnant women who contact COVID-19 are 5 times more likely to be hospitalized and spend 3.73 days longer in hospital. They are 10 times more likely to be admitted to the intensive care unit. It is evident that pregnant individuals are more likely to suffer from severe illnesses, more likely to require ventilation or life support breathing. COVID-19 infection in pregnancy significantly increases the risk of stillbirth, premature birth, high blood pressure, cesarean delivery, and low birth weight. There is also an increased risk that the baby will need to be admitted to neonatal intensive care too. There is no evidence to suggest that taking the COVID-19 vaccine will impact your pregnancy. Several studies will more than 17,000 pregnant women have shown that vaccination immediately prior to and or during pregnancy has no impact on pregnancy outcomes, which is no change in the rate of miscarriage, premature birth, stillbirth, growth restriction, high blood pressure during pregnancy, medical complication of pregnancy, or maternal death. A study of more than 35,000 pregnant or breastfeeding women who were monitored at the time of COVID-19 vaccination found no difference in the rate of side effects compared with non-pregnant individuals. Real-world safety data is now available for hundreds of thousands of pregnant individuals who have received the COVID-19 vaccines. So the antibodies you make to fight COVID-19 following vaccination also pass to your baby, and which may keep them safe after birth. The COVID-19 vaccine does not contain any live virus, any mercury, aluminum, formaldehyde, or any substances harmful to you and your baby, any human or animal blood or byproducts. Getting vaccinated before getting pregnant will protect you and your future baby from the increased risk association with COVID-19 infections in pregnancy. COVID-19 vaccines can be safely given to breastfeeding individuals too. Vaccines protect breastfeeding individuals from COVID-19 infection and help prevent you from passing it to the baby or other family members. You can continue breastfeeding after getting vaccinated. The vaccine is not detectable in breast milk. Antibodies have been shown to pass in the breast milk after maternal vaccination and may protect your baby against COVID-19. Studies show that receiving a COVID-19 vaccine while breastfeeding does not disrupt your breastfeeding and does not have any adverse impact on your baby. It is also recommended, but not required, that pregnant individuals have discussion with their treating healthcare provider or with a healthcare provider familiar with their pregnancy. Now coming to booster or third doses of COVID-19 vaccine, I would like to take the most important question here. Why is it important to get a booster shot? For that, I would like to say that getting your booster dose is the best way to protect yourself against the rapidly spreading of the Omicron variant. The best vaccine for your booster dose is the vaccine that is available first. Mixing COVID-19 vaccine is safe, effective, and enables Ontarians to benefit from the protection of booster doses. Both the Moderna, Pfizer, COVID-19 vaccines provide strong protection against COVID-19 and its variants. Most individuals 18 years of age or older can get a booster dose 84 days, which is 3 months after receiving their second dose. Individual age 12 to 17 can receive a booster dose of COVID-19 vaccine 6 months, which is 168 days after their second dose. We understand the fact that women of any descent, women of color, single mother, women in abusive situations have more difficulty deciding to allow their young children to be vaccinated or take the vaccine themselves. We want to assure you that we are here to support you with all the necessary information you need to make the best decision for you and your children. We can provide other services regarding COVID-19 vaccines according to your needs. The most important thing we can all do now, vaccinated or not, is take the time to learn more about vaccine and make informed choices for ourselves and our families. Now, you have made a decision and get your vaccine. What to do next after vaccination? It is vital that everyone, even those who has been vaccinated, continue practicing public health measures, including stay home if you have any COVID-19 symptoms, get vaccinated when eligible, wear your mask, wash your hands, and keep your distance. If you need more information about vaccines, vaccine clinics, and responses to any questions that you may have, please check the following links. There is a more information too. And here is our information too if you need any support from us. We hope that this information help you make an informed decision. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nancy Smith, Executive Director with Interval House of Hamilton. International Women's Day, March the 8th, is about honoring women. It is a time to reflect on progress made towards achieving gender equality and a time to challenge and call out gender bias and inequality. At Interval House of Hamilton, we've been providing services in Hamilton for 35 years. Our emergency shelter works with women with or without children who have experienced abuse, violence, or human trafficking. Our community-based programs, Women's Centre Hamilton, Jared's Place, Flamborough Women's Resource Centre, we provide counseling, groups, legal advocacy, and system navigation. We also believe we need good men to be aligned with us in our work. So we have Mentor Action and our Be More Than a Bystander program and very important partners in Hamilton to also work towards gender equality.
Good Shepherd Women's Services. Martha House. Martha House is a secure and accessible 40-bed emergency shelter for women-identified folk and their children who are experiencing homelessness and or fleeing violence and abuse. Safe, short-term accommodations for women and their children in private family-style units. Mary's Place. Mary's Place is a 20-bed emergency shelter for women identified folk 18 years and older Mary's Place provides safe, supportive, and emergency accommodations for women dealing with homelessness, poverty, mental illness, and/or violence. Community Support Services for Women and Children provides violence against women community counseling, child and youth counseling, wellness program, learning effective anti-violence in families, legal advocate, family court support worker, second stage services, transitional and housing support program. Our contact numbers: Martha House, 905-523-8895. Mary's Place, 905-540-8000. Community Support Services, 905-523-8766. Our 24-hour crisis line, 905-523-6277. Wishing you a happy International Women's Day from Good Shepherd Women's Services. Remember to break the bias.
Liliana Figueredo, who will be leading us through meditation, is the coordinator of the Good Beginnings program at the YWCA Hamilton, a spiritual director, a meditation teacher, and a good body feel instructor, a movement method that integrates yoga, Pilates, and mindfulness. She has spent countless hours learning and practicing self-care, mindfulness, and meditation for almost 30 years.
Hello, this is Liliana. I just pronounce she and her. I am the coordinator of the Good Beginnings program at YWCA Hamilton. Thank you very much for joining me in this meditation practice. Happy International Women's Day to all of you who identify yourselves as women. We are powerful, we are women, and we keep the world going. Thank you for being you. Now, please find a place and position where you're going to be comfortable in for the next 10 minutes. It doesn't matter if you're sitting or laying down. Whatever works for you best. If you feel comfortable doing so, you can close your eyes. Otherwise, you can just soften your gaze. And now, focus your attention to the air coming into your body and the air going out of your body. Just follow the flow of that air without judgment and without trying to control anything. Just inhaling and exhaling at your own rhythm. Noticing what is happening in your body as you breathe. And now, bring the focus of your attention to your nostrils, to the edge of your nose where the air makes first contact with your body. Notice the sensations. Notice the lack of sensations. There's no right or wrong. It is what it is. Maybe you can notice the temperature of the air coming in. You're just focusing on that edge of your nose. Now move to the inner part of your nose. Again, feeling the contact of the air with inner walls of your nose. Maybe you have big sensations. Maybe you don't have any sensations. Maybe you have a little bit of sensation. Everything is okay. Just be aware of that. Focus on that, on the awareness itself. And move move to your throat now. Again, feeling that air that comes in and how it touches the inner walls of your throat. Sensations or no sensations, your breath is perfect. And go down to your chest, noticing the air coming into your lungs. Maybe there's movement in your chest. Maybe there's no movement. Just witness what is happening in your chest as you breathe, as you inhale. And now introduce being aware of the exhales, the air leaving your lungs. And move into your abdomen. Noticing once more how the air coming in affects your abdomen. Does it move? Does it stay still? Just bring awareness to whatever is happening. No judgment. Not trying to control it. Just allowing your body to do what your body knows what to do. And now, just follow the entire journey of the air coming in and out of your body. From your nostrils to the inner walls of your nose, to your throat, to your chest, to your abdomen, and leaving your abdomen, leaving your lungs, leaving your throat, going out through your nose, through your nostrils. The full, complete miracle of breath coming in and out of your body. Just stay with it. Just notice sensations, places of contact, movements. Your breath keeps you alive. It is a miracle. Just connect with it, honoring its wisdom. And now, inhale through your nose very slowly, taking the air down into your abdomen and lower rib cage, and allow all the muscles around your torso to expand. And exhale really, really slowly through your nose. Allow the muscles in your torso to hug your spine little by little. Again, inhale through your nose very slowly, taking the air down into your abdomen and lower rib cage, and allow all the muscles around your torso to expand. And exhale really, really slowly through your nose. Direct the muscles in your torso to hug your spine. And once more. Inhale through your nose very slowly, taking the air down into your abdomen and lower rib cage, and allow all the muscles around your torso to expand. And exhale really, really slowly through your nose. Hug your spine little by little. And go back to the natural rhythm of your breath, honoring the wisdom within your body as you breathe. And as we get to the end of this meditation, you can wiggle your toes and your fingers. You might want to stretch your arms, your neck, and you can relax your body again, feeling the peace, feeling the relaxation. Coming back to the room you're in. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. And welcome back. Thank you very much for joining me in this meditation practice. And happy International Women's Day to all of you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kelly, one of the support workers at the AIDS Network. At the AIDS Network, we provide HIV support, harm reduction, and community-based programming for priority populations with increased risk of HIV. We proudly serve Hamilton, Halton, and Haldeman Norfolk Brant. Please visit our website at www.aidsnetwork.ca for more information. From all of us at the AIDS Network, happy International Women's Day!
Lil America is a singer, songwriter that has performed internationally. She was born in El Salvador. She's about to release her second album titled Music, Courage, Healing. The song from the album talks about her experience being a woman, a mother, and an immigrant. Lil is a proud Hamiltonian and will soon be showcased in the City of Hamilton BIPOC series at the Hamilton's Art Week.
Hello everybody, my name is Lil America, and it is truly an honor for me to present the video of my song Express Entry for International Women's Day. This song talks about my struggles as an immigrant, as a woman, and as a mother. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Customs, immigration, and
country. Land of gentle people and adore. El Salvador, El Salvador. I submerge myself in music water, but my wings are ready to take off. Habana, Hamilton, San Salvador. Habana, Hamilton, San Salvador. Habana, Hamilton, San Salvador. Habana, Hamilton, San Salvador. Customs, immigration in the airport. Hold my daughter's hand, she feels secure. Flag with maple leaf, our destination. Oh Canada, Daddy will be waiting at the door. Habana, Hamilton, San Salvador. 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 Habana, Hamilton, San Salvador.
We will now have our vote of thanks by Noxie Goto.
Hi, I'm Noxie, and on behalf of the AIDS Network, Interval House of Hamilton, and the International Women's Day Planning Committee, we'd like to thank our MC, Sabrina, our video editor, Melissa. We would like to thank all our speakers and entertainers. We would also like to thank all the organizations that are members of the Planning Committee, that is the AIDS Network, Interval House of Hamilton, Mission Services, Good Shepherd, Sasha, YWCA Hamilton, Hamilton Caribbean Women's Group, Hindu Samaj Women's Outreach Group, City of Hamilton, Hamilton Community Legal Clinic, Hamilton Police Services, Victim Services, and WAG Hamilton. We would also like to thank you all for spending time with us today. We hope you gained something from this event, and we want you to take care and see you all next year.
Thanks for watching. Happy International Women's Day.